Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Zach the Critique, where me, Zach, am going to critique movies and TV shows to your pleasure. The first one up the bat will be Spider-Man Brand New Day, and this movie was phenomenal. I'll give my rating right here. It's a 9.5. It went down half a star from right after watching it, and I'll explain why. But let's get right into it. There's spoilers for Brand New Day. I should feel like it's obvious, but I just want to make sure. There will be spoilers for this movie. Anyways, let's get into it. I personally loved this movie. Um, it made me excited, almost giddy a little bit in my seat. I was kicking my feet like a little schoolgirl. I was loving it. Um, I had to wait all day. I went to a crisp 8 p.m. showing in my local theater, and I was waiting all day. I rewatched all of the Spider-Man movies for this movie, so I have a ripe idea of how good all the other Spider-Man are, even the Amazing Spider-Man. Rest my soul. But I feel like this ranks in my top three favorite Spider-Man movies. I am a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man has been my comfort character, I would say, since I started reading comics a couple of years ago. And then when the movie started coming out, and I was like, I need to read more of this. And so I read more. I read Brand New Day right before this. It was a new little compact, only 10, 15. I forgot how much it was, but not bad. I recommend going to your local Barnes and Noble or comic shop to go get that. Best local comic shop in the city if you can, because you gotta go respect those local stores. Um, and this movie, it gave me everything I was expecting. I was a little worried that it wasn't going to hit the mark, especially since I was so sure it was going to be so good that I was worried I was going to go into it and be disappointed. And dare I say, it was not a disappointing thing. I was pleasantly surprised. Ooh, I was pitching a tent halfway through this movie. It was phenomenal. It felt like I was just watching peak. Like, this is the first time that I got up to clap at the end of the movie. Yes, I am one of those losers that claps at the end of movies. Um, in a long time. I think the last time I did it was Spider-Man No Way Home, which was also phenomenal. Um, but it's kind of hard to hate a movie that gets my attention with three Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, oh well. Um, and this movie is just the pinnacle of what Spider-Man should be. I was very, very happy with it. Alright, let's get into breaking down what I liked and disliked. Starting with what I disliked, because there's just so little amounts. The only thing that I didn't love about the movie was how Jean Grey, or Sadie Sink's character, was introduced into the MCU. I love X-Men. I didn't love it at the start of my reading catalog. I didn't love what I was reading, but then I watched X-Men 97 and I loved that show. And so I tried to get more into it, and then I read House of M, phenomenal book. And then I read the Uncanny X-Men line, that was phenomenal, and now I am a full-blown X-Men lover. I've rewatched all the X-Men movies recently too, because I guess I have no life, and it was a peak run. We don't talk about X-Men Apocalypse, because if we do, I will blow my brains out, because that was such a disappointing movie. Jesus Christ, especially after the second season. After I'm watching this, I'm like, what the fuck, Oscar Isaac, come on, man. But and because of my love for Jean Grey, I was able to look over how they did her in this movie, because I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Phoenix comic line. I wasn't a fan of the movie whatsoever. Jesus Christ, that's not even canon to me. I'm never watching that again. And because of that, I don't always love when they make Jean Grey like this misunderstood villain. It's like come on. I was hoping for just her to be like a good guy, but like misunderstood by Spider-Man. But she was like low key murking people. She was fucking like she was not happy. I will say that she's definitely not the main villain. After the watch, I was like, okay, thank God, because ends up Tillman's character ends up being the main villain. Metzger, the damage control boss, or whatever the fuck his standing was. But I'm happy for that because he was phenomenal in Severance, so I was hoping he would get a big role, and dare I say, I was pleasantly surprised about the role that he got. Um, I wasn't I wasn't a huge fan of how Sadie was interacting with him. I wasn't I don't know. I don't know why it felt corny, which I mean, to each of their own. But I didn't love how she was talking to him over the intercom or whatever the fuck through the cameras. I forgot how she was talking to him. And I wasn't a fan of the fact that her whole reason for doing this was because of her sister. I mean, that's a fun little thing, but I just think it brings down the movie entirely, especially for a Spider-Man movie. Give that its own little thing. Don't put it into just a Spider-Man movie. It feels misplaced. Um, but that's almost it, really, for my dislikes. I didn't love how they used MJ in the movie. Um, I grown, I slept on it, and I like it a bit more. How she finds out about the note, and like with him just like going off and fucking off, and then him coming back and she read it already. Like, why the fuck are you going through his stuff, bro? But whatever. And with that being the reason why she found out that his name is Peter and that they used to date, I don't love that that's the way that she's finding out, but I loved the scene in general because I felt like that was a beautiful way to continue on what happened in No Way Home without just absolutely shitting on it and making it basically not happen. Because I was worried they were gonna all find out like midway through in the beginning of the movie, and then it was just gonna undo all the huge tension that came from the ending of the last Spider-Man movie. They didn't do that, thank God. Um, she she's like, I don't love you because I don't fucking know who you are, Peter, which um is heartbreaking. Which good. I need my Spider-Man depressed as fuck, dare I say. Um, and I loved it. I was watching it and I was like, you know what? Thank God I was worried, especially since in before that he's saving her, and I'm watching him swing her on top of a roof, and then she's like, we used to know each other, right? And then all that she's like, it's Jean, but I thought in the movie you think it's MJ, and she figures it out. She takes off the mask and she's like, oh my God, Peter, and then they hug, and I'm like, oh, kill me. But then, luckily, it turns out to be Jean, so that technically didn't happen. It's one of those little cop outs, like, oh, it didn't really happen. But I fucked with it. I was excited to see more of him being depressed and being alone. Sadly, um, I was yeah. I feel like that was it. I wasn't really a fan of the like. I wanted more from Tombstone. I wanted more from like the low level villains. I don't know. I was hoping that she was gonna break them out and they would be out and about again, like Tombstone, Boomerang. The Hand being like technically good guys was kind of weird, but I loved I loved everything else. Let's get into what I found. What I found great. I thought this movie was shot to perfection. I loved the camera angles they used, the fights, oh my god, might be the best fights in a Spider-Man movie ever. I was rewatching The Amazing Spider-Man, and I would say the first Amazing Spider-Man has some really good action with Spider-Man and the Lizard in the school. I would say that was some of my favorite. That might be one of my favorite fight scenes in the movies, like all the Spider-Man movies. I loved it, and so to go into this and see just like almost every single fight scene basically top it with him fighting Scorpion, um, when Spider-Man when Scorpion's taken over by Jean and trying to get the VMAX. Um, I was loving that. I loved how he practically murked a cop. He just fucking almost killed a woman because he couldn't control himself and just threw threw Scorpion in front of a fucking car. So I mean, peak action, of course. Um, I thought that the shots to like it conveyed the emotion that Tom really couldn't because uh, he was limited by his acting chops from the mask. So you can't really see his facial expressions that which I guess Tom isn't really known for. He's not really. I mean, he did great in the movie, but I mean, watching back until the Odyssey, his facial expressions when he acts is just kind of like baby face nothingness. So I loved how they were able to shoot his eyes and then shoot his like have the audio of him breathing heavily. I feel like that conveyed and made the movie a bit more tense and enjoyable. I would say that I loved John Bernthal's Punisher. Hell, I loved it. It was peak. It was peak of shit. I loved how they didn't tone him down that much. He doesn't like aggressively murder anybody, but he still swears. He still tries to kill someone. We'll get to that. And I'm glad that they didn't tone him down for the movie. They just used the Punisher for the Punisher, and that was good. And I love the team up with him and Spider-Man. I feel like I need to see Spider-Man in another Punisher thing now at this point. John Bernthal and Tom Holland, their chemistry is off the charts from knowing each other for God knows how long. Them doing like them um what was it called? Them auditioning for the roles of Punisher and Spider-Man together. That was like that's a love story right there. So watch out, Zendaya. And with that chemistry, it comes out beautifully on the screen. You can see it a little bit in the Odyssey because in the Odyssey it's just John Bernthal yapping at him. But in Spider-Man they can talk off of each other and they have great lines. I loved their chemistry in the damage Department of Damage Control building where Gene's trying to get Hillman's character. I feel like that was perfect. That scene where they're just yapping at each other and he's like, "You're just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk." He's like, "Yeah, kinda." But I love their banter. It's amazing. I also say that I loved Ned in this movie. Ned was fantastic. I was they definitely used Ned well, which is a good stark comparison to how I don't love how they did MJ. But that was it. I mean, you can tell that they're getting really close again at the end. So I mean, there's still something there. So go Spidey. But him and Ned, you can tell that they're really best friends because even when they're meeting each other again for the first time, technically they're just becoming best friends again, and it's a gorgeous watch. I teared up a little bit. It was beautiful. Um, Another really depressing thing was the Hulk. Depressing in I would say a good way. I I loved what they did with the Hulk. Bruce Banner teaching, having that he's finally getting his own life. He has the inhibitor on, so he can't turn into the Hulk in the middle of the cafeteria. He says his words. Um, and I feel like watching that I'm like, thank God Bruce finally. I mean, I already knew the Hulk was gonna come out, but I was like, thank God Bruce has his own life a little bit at least. But then to get into the Department of Damage Control, he takes over Bruce's mind and kind of fucking ruins his life. Um, he loses control after he gets like bombed 15 times. So that was like especially heartbreaking. Um, because he comes to and he's like, "What did I do? Is everyone hurt? Am I the only one that got hurt?" Um, which, man, that's fucking sad. So basically, Sadie just kind of fucking ruined Bruce Banner's life. I don't know what they're gonna do with Hulk now. He can't really do anything else. Bruce can't fucking do anything. He can't be trusted anymore because of that. So another like again, that's like leads to the point where Jean Grey's just a fucking villain. She's like, what the fuck? But I loved the Hulk in it, and so I was hoping that he gets his own little special thing that not fucking She-Hulk. Like I hope Hulk gets his own movie. We've been needed it since they recasted him into Mark Ruffalo, and we haven't gotten one because of fucking studio rights. God forbid. So there's just nothing they can do. I think that I'm excited for a little bit more of Jean Grey in different movies, at least. I mean, I can see how um, she can go in from the ending, because here, I'll get into the ending a little bit now, actually. So, at the end of the movie, she's, like, getting, like, tortured. I forgot. They're, like, trying to figure out how she jumps so they can replicate her powers for as weapons, because that's what Milichik, Jesus Christ, Tillman, um, respect to Severance though. Um, Tillman's character Metzger, um, his whole thing is turning weapons from like the powers of the villains that they're stopping. So that was a great watch. I was really really excited to see what they did with his character, and that turned out well. He did phenomenally. I'm so happy. I'm so happy he's getting jobs because Jesus, him and Severance was perfect. So and him and Spider-Man was perfect. So I'm excited to see him in more things. Um, but with Jean Grey, I'm assuming she's going off to Xavier's school or something because she's just on a bus fucking off at the end. Um, because she's getting tortured, and then Spider-Man comes to save her after she like gains a fuck ton of power and like takes control of like 30 blocks of New York. So that whole ending sequence was just gorgeous, with Peter trying to beat the Hand and him not being able to. He's getting his ass beat because they're like breaking his artificial webs. I haven't really gotten into that. Yeah. He's like he's transforming into, he's more arachnid than human, which is scary. It creeped me out. Well, not, it didn't creep me out, but I loved the black eye effect to like show that he's like, it's almost like the symbiote suit almost, where he goes like his eyes turn black and he's more aggressive and he doesn't really care about life, as you can see from when he almost fucking killed that cop earlier. Um, but I would say, other than like those two scenes where he's about to kill a cop and trying to kill a Scorpion, and when he starts fucking up on some hands, those scenes were impeccable. I was pitching another tent, dare I say. I was real excited during those. And then he beats the Hand with his new like strength because he's finally able to control the arachnid. Um, I loved I loved that. I loved his arc through the entire movie of just like accepting that he can't do this alone and he has to be able to take help when he can. And I loved how he just got past the Hand after that pretty quickly. He beats them up. He gets to Jean Grey, who's holding Tillman's character hostage. And I think that whole scene of her holding the glass up to his face and like trying to show Peter, you don't know what it's like to be alone, and going into his head. And then there's an amazing scene where she sees a memory with Peter and Aunt May, where Aunt May is giving him this awesome speech. It's like, because you're special, there will be people who are afraid or will try to hurt you because you are so special. And you need to understand that you will never be alone and that you can't do this alone. And that's just a gorgeous message that I loved watching conveyed on the screen. She sits down where Peter was on the bed and she gets a little hug from his hot ass aunt. Um, dead hot, dead hot aunt. So, R.I.P. And you just see the life go back into her eyes during that. And then he comes into the dream and he's just like, yeah, basically I'm gonna rehash what Aunt May just said. And she's like, damn, you're right, bro. And then they come out and then they're best friends basically. But Punisher is about to fucking sniper. So he tries to pop his ult and sniper from like 200 yards away. Not even. It's very far. I forgot how much it was. I don't know why I even tried to guess. It's way more than 200 yards. And because of that, he senses that, saves her, and then Spider-Man gets fucking shot. I was really worried that they were gonna kill him off here, and I shed a tear. My tent was unpitched because I was too depressed, and I just sat there on the verge of tears because I genuinely thought they were going to kill off Peter. They um they do this awesome thing that it's like a rehash of what happened in Far From Home, where he walks out like he's so you see a broadcast of them being like, our Spider-Man's in trouble, we got to do something. And I love when they show how New York thinks he's just important and they need him. I hate in comic books or movies where um they just they just hate Spider-Man. I didn't that was a huge thing I disliked about the Amazing Spider-Man. I wasn't a huge fan of it in the first one, but and I wouldn't have liked it here. I loved how um they recreated that panel from Civil War where the Punisher brings Spider-Man into the hospital disheveled and beat up. And I'm pretty sure that's where Claire Temple, was gonna be before they broke her off and cut her out from the fucking movie entirely. Even though I guarantee it was gonna be like one scene. I'm sure she could have been introduced here, but whatever. He wakes, then Tom Holland wakes up. Peter wakes up, and you look around him, and there's cards everywhere. There's the picture that MJ drew of Peter and Ned playing with like their Legos again, which was really cute. And then you look and you see the Punisher sleeping next to him, which I felt was out of character because I didn't know what was. I didn't. I was like, really? He's just gonna like sit there. But I personally loved it. He's being a little soft little bitch like the rest of us, and he was waiting because he fucking shot him. For him to wake up, which was amazing. They have amazing banter when Peter wakes up about how the Punisher was crying for him and everything, and I thought that was just a beautiful way to end their story in the movie. And then he needs to leave, so he just walks out, and I was like, what? So he's just walking out because I didn't realize yet that no one knew what he looked like, and because like his mask and everything was off, and he was and there was a bunch of gifts there. I didn't know what was going on. My media literacy was in the fucking toilet for like 2 seconds, and when they say, "Oh my God, it's Spider Man," I'm like, "Yeah, you fucking idiot! What are you doing?" But then I was like, and then I got reminded that I am a dumb fuck, and they showed the Punisher waving at everybody, and I'm like, okay, okay, that's pretty funny, and it's just showing Peter being happy and getting excited because everyone's cheering for Spider-Man again, and everyone just loves him. And I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, that's awesome. I always love when the Spider-Man movies show New York being there for Spider-Man as well. The Tobey Maguire movies were phenomenal at that. With in the first one, the bridge scene where they're throwing shit at the Green Goblin so he can save the how was it, fucking bus of people? I forgot what it was. It was like a cart or something. I forgot. And then another they did another great job in Spider-Man 2, which is obviously more memorable, where he stops the train and he gets held up by everybody, and everyone's like, "You got to go through me to get to Spider-Man." And I always love when they rehash that in new Spider-Man movies. And then they end the movie with a shot of Jean Grey fucking off in a bus. Who knows where she's going? And Tom going to Aunt May's grave again and being like, "I understand what you mean. I can't be alone when I do this anymore." Which sets up him seeing Ned and just be like, "You know what? I ain't no bitch no more." Meets up with him, says, "Hey, my name's Peter," and they redo the handshake, which then sparks his memory of Peter, and he's like, "Holy shit, Peter!" And oh, I was hard again, rock solid. It was phenomenal. I loved that ending. Then that's exactly how that ended. Goes into credits, and then you have to wait like 15 minutes because there's only one post credit scene. I will say this is another part where my media literacy was in the toilet because I don't exactly know what was going on there. I thought it was that Spider-Man was in space and like he's gonna be in Doomsday because he's like fighting in space again or something. But some people think that it's Miles because of like the glitch. It was like the glitch was kind of like the Miles from the Miles movies, and it looked like it was on another planet. Like so that could be it. I wasn't 100% sure what was happening because it was just the Spidey tracker being like, "Where the fuck Spidey at?" And he's like, "Oh wait, there he is," and it goes off Earth entirely, and I'm like, "Oh shit, that's cool," but what the fuck does that mean? Um, if you guys think you understand, please tell me in the comments because I was dumbfounded as fuck because I had no idea. Um, that's really it. I would say this movie out of 10, 9.5. Thought it was a 10, brought it down because of the Sadie Sink stuff and the MJ stuff, but this character, Spider-Man, my gosh, it saved my life, Spider-Man. So watching this movie, I don't think I'll almost ever watch a Spider-Man movie other than the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 2. Fuck that movie. Um, where I'll just dislike watching it. Even Spider-Man 3, I don't like hate. I'm not gonna rewatch it unless it's in like a thing that I'm doing where I'm rewatching something for a movie that I'm gonna watch, like I did for Brand New Day. That's probably the last time I'm gonna watch it again until maybe no, because Doomsday's coming out this year, so I'm not gonna rewatch it in case Toby's in there because I just fucking watched it. So yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna see that again. I hope I never have to, but I would say that's it. That is the first episode of Zach the Critic. I am Zach, and I hope you enjoyed my critique.